this bill.
Thank you. Other witnesses in opposition, unless you have new material, just like they did with those in support, just state your name, your organization, and your position.
Good morning. My name is Miriam Grossman. I'm a medical doctor with training in pediatrics and psychiatry. I am board certified in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry, and I've been in practice for 21 years. I've also written 3 books about reproductive health. I've reviewed bill number SB48, and I've concluded that it is based on seriously flawed thinking. I have deep concerns about the consequences to the children of this state should this bill become law. My concerns span many areas, but I will focus on my area of expertise, which is child development. The authors of this bill call for very substantial changes to be made in classroom instruction and textbooks, but they have ignored the fundamental principles of child development. Children process and integrate information and experiences differently than adults. There are facts that a child cannot easily assimilate because he simply lacks the tools to do so. He is immature and can be overwhelmed and confused more easily than adults. This bill mandates the introduction of ideas into the classroom without considering the capacity of students to grasp and absorb these ideas. For example, the idea of transgenderism, that a person can feel trapped in the wrong body, that the person feels that nature made a mistake, and that this idea of going to a doctor and asking the doctor to remove a normal body part. This is confusing and frightening to children. And by the way, the incidence of this actually happening is about 8 in 100,000 people. Now, these are difficult concepts for adults to comprehend, let alone children. And Senator Leno, you mentioned when you introduced the bill.
We do not. You address the committee.
I'm sorry.
Just the practice of
Okay.
the legislature.
Okay. Forgive me.
No, that's fine.
I haven't done this before.
No, that's perfectly. How would you know? Unless I
Okay.
told you.
All right. I'd like to simply ask the question that if we're going to do this supposedly in an age-appropriate way, please tell me, how does one explain to first graders, second graders, third graders, in an age-appropriate way, the idea of a person coming to a doctor and asking for very critical body parts to be removed? There is no age-appropriate way that can be done. This bill ignores the principles of normal child development, which states that at around age 3, a boy knows that he is a boy. He identifies himself as a boy. That's called gender identity. By age 4, the boy is supposed to know that he's going to grow up to become a man. That's called gender stability. And by 6, 7 at the latest, a child is supposed to know that, for example, a boy is supposed to know that he cannot become a girl even if he wears a dress, and that's called gender permanence. And I'm drawing this from standard child psychiatry material that we all learn. When I evaluate a child in my office, I'm supposed to determine, has that child reached these milestones? If this bill becomes law, these principles go out the window. The child will learn that gender permanence does not exist. They'll learn that a woman can turn into a man and a man into a woman. I presume that students will be taught about Thomas Beattie, a woman whose appearance was altered by testosterone and bilateral mastectomies, but who then went on to become pregnant and give birth. You probably heard about Thomas Beattie because this was a media sensation. It left many adults scratching their heads. If this bill passes, there is nothing to prevent California textbooks from presenting Thomas Beatty as a trailblazer.
Could you please try to wind down? You're already at 4 minutes, and we try to, you know.
I know.
And not that it's not important, but we're trying to...
I will try.
Thank you.
It is just so critically important. Would a so-called man having a child be considered an important historical contribution? I respectfully remind you that in order to conceive, a uterus is necessary, and only females have a uterus. This bill propels us into uncharted territory, and our children will pay the price. A child is not a miniature adult. I'm constantly telling parents who bring their kids into my office this. A child is not a miniature adult. It is our responsibility to protect children as best we can from exposure to facts and experiences that they are not equipped to handle. We all know this. It's common sense. That's why we have movie ratings and filters on our computers. If this bill, SB48, passes, I fear for the children of this state. More harm will come from this bill than good. Certainly, we can teach children the importance of respect and tolerance in a manner that is consistent with child development and biological truths. I implore you to vote against this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.